Morning, everybody. 8:10 a.m. September 19th. Hope everybody had a good Monday. This market is tough to read lately. Um, ES, Nasdaq, SPY, and triple Qs, whatever you want to call it. Both of those markets are not in sync. Like when you look at them, one's stronger than the other, one's weaker than the other. It's definitely like a mixed bag. It's definitely a mixed bag, and that was in yesterday. That was the Nasdaq was stronger than the ES. So, and then what did I say over the weekend, right? 28% of the market is XLK, is technology, right? And what happened yesterday? Nvidia dipped down, like I talked about, right? Dipped down and then got ripped back up, right? That's XLK. Apple, it's been oversold. I was talking about it bottoming, right? Well, that got a nice bid yesterday. So that kind of lifted the Nasdaq. All right, talked about AMD, right? 100. I didn't think it was good to short something like AMD so quickly, right? And semiconductors, I talked about that as well. Hit that 100-day moving average and trend line, and it kind of caught a bid. Doesn't mean we go to the moon now. The market wasn't ready to sell off those semis, right, on that bad news. So that's where we're at. We got FOMC coming up. Without further ado, let's get into this. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. We use volume profile, market profile to find structure in this market. We use supply and demand. Gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the week and the month. Those are rolling numbers. Okay. Use a lot of TA. Keep it just on the right side of the market with price action. Okay, with price action. So price action is definitely can lure you into thinking something's happening when it's not, because structure is there, right? That's what I talked about on the weekend, right? So yesterday, what did we do? We'll get into it. Let's just go right to the futures. All right, let's go right to that futures. Let's see what we're doing, because we're not doing much. Okay, we got Bitcoin up 1.54. All right, we got crude is just ripping to $91 a barrel. Silver, the volatile metal, is up, kind of broke a resistance that I had. I set an alert. I saw that happened. But it's volatile. Okay. Ether is up 0.34. Gold's up 0.23. The Russell's up 0.2. ES is up 0.08. Pretty much flat. Dow's up 0.08. Nasdaq's flat, 0.04. 10-year yield reports at 820. That should be slightly elevated with 30-year bonds being sold. The VIX is pretty much flat, down 0.21. The dollar is in the 104s. Okay, the dollar's taking a little dip, pushing metals up. So weaker the dollar, better for equities, better for commodities. Okay, let's move on. Coin, good old coin. Well, I was all set to go along on coin yesterday. It just didn't look good. Okay, I was looking for it to hold yesterday's highs, and it fell apart, and then didn't do much, right? But it's up 0.92. Apple, I put my money where my mouth was yesterday. Okay, Apple, I said I wanted to see a break 177.5 and hold it. It did. Okay, because Apple's been bottoming. So I put a structure on there. I did a bull call spread. Okay, and I paid for it with a with a a short put spread. So a bull put spread. Okay, which is a credit spread. All right, 175. So, and I call that, shadow trader Peter Bezinchek. I haven't been with him from a little bit, but like he calls these risk reversals. Okay, why is that? Because I'm short puts in Apple at 175, and that's paying from my bull call spread. So as long as, and I only have it expiring Friday on Apple. As long as Apple stays above 175, it will pay for my call debit spread, because I feel Apple will make a move Okay, I think I have it at 180, 182 and a half. Okay, so that's fueling my thing. Now, what happens if Apple gets weak? I can roll it. I can roll that down to the next week. Okay, I know FOMC is coming, but I think it's going to be a nothing burger. All right, but I think Apple's pretty good, but who knows? Moving on. Nvidia sub 0.29. All right. Is there laggards? No. Nope, nope, nope. No laggards to speak of this morning. The only one is the VIX futures. Okay? But we don't talk about that. I only look at that as a gauge. All right, let's move on. Top sector stocks. Okay? Chevron, Exxon. I mean, energy's just cruising along here. All right? And we don't really have a laggard. Okay? In other news, really quickly, CVS got an upgrade. I like that. I'm an owner of CVS. I like that. Dell also got an upgrade. Starbucks got a downgrade. So check out those stocks, how they're doing, because CVS is up 0.85. All right, let's just real quickly check what Starbucks is doing. Starbucks is down 1.14. Dell, I believe last I checked, was up like 2%. Okay. What else here? Let's go to sectors. Let's see if we're going to be surprised here with energy leading the pack. No. All right. So then what do we have? No laggards. No laggards. All right. Now as far as the indexes this morning, right now the Russell has been the strongest. Yesterday, regional banks got hit. Okay. So remember I talked about that IWN in particular over the weekend. Okay, it has that head and shoulders pattern. However, it's holding those levels that I talked about. All right, so have my alert set on that. All right, I think I want to see it 186. Can make a move. All right, let's get into news. There's not much to report here. All right, not much to report here, but we'll look at some of the things I was talking about here. Let's go to here. And this is some of the things that they'll upgrade. Okay, we got the CVS upgrade, super microcomputers, overweight at Barclays. That's also doing good. That's about all I wanted to show there. Of course, economic calendar. We have housing starts. That's not much for today. Obviously, the big thing tomorrow is FOMC. Okay, let's check out the juice. Just looking at to see. Really not much to report there. We know FOMC is tomorrow. I showed yesterday 99% chance of a pause. So that's that. Not a lot of heavy newsworthy stuff today. Okay, so that means we can move right into the daily charts. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Let's check it out, okay? Now, what do we got have going here? We have a bottoming action, okay? Now, I talked about this over the weekend, right? Look at this is last week's lows. See what I mean? We pierced it. But that's all shorts are getting overloaded here, right? So this is what I'm saying. We're at a key level. We're not just going to fall out of bed with FOMC. Now, can it happen today? It's happened before. I would say probably not, but I'm just going with probabilities. I speak in probabilities. I don't think we do go lower, but we're bottoming. Okay, we're holding lower. That is bearish. Okay, that is bearish. Right now, where are we? 443.86, 443.86. You're at the midpoint of yesterday's session. It's really nothing to see here. Okay, nothing to see here. Structure wise, we're within last week, right? 2 weeks in a row. Talked about that. Not much to gleam at. Okay, let's look at the Qs. Qs, what do we got? See, that also went through last week's lows and then recovered. All right, we got this trend line here still holding. See what I mean? And of course, with Apple and catching a bid with AMD and Nvidia, that's what happens, right? So where are we at now? 370.54, 370.54, right at the midpoint of yesterday. So that means we don't know nothing. We're just waiting for tomorrow right now. We're in the middle, right? So what's going to happen today? Most likely we're going to push out to the edge up here, or we're going to push down here, and we probably get, bought up again, and we rebalancing for tomorrow. Can we break out today? Sure. It's not likely, but sure, anything can happen. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. There's not a lot to gleam at that. Okay. Now, we can look at some triple-headed monster. Let's see what that's doing. So the 10-year yield is reported now. So let's look at that. 10-year yield. All right, we're kind of 3 days in a row, kind of sitting sideways. Okay. The real question is can we hit these previous month's highs? Right, 4.3. Don't know. Don't know. We're hanging out. We're hanging out. The 10-year yield is hanging out higher here. Do we break out or do we succumb? Right. Keep an eye on this. That is a leading smart money right there. The VIX made a big time low a couple days ago. Now we're holding 13. Can we push through 15? Don't know. Not a lot of fear in this market right now. Not a lot of fear. Dollar finally getting some weakness here. So it was hitting its head. It's on this 105. Getting some weakness now. Can we probably drop down to last month's highs? Let's see. Last week's lows. We'll see. Okay. It's just I'm just seeing some things. I guess yelling. That's just a joke. Soft landing scenario. I mean, it's crazy. All right. That is a triple-headed monster. All right. We looked at the triple-headed. That wraps that triple-headed up. We're gonna get right into market profile, volume profile. Again, not a lot to really look at and gleam at. Okay. But structure. Okay, so we're going to look at that structure together. Not a lot to look at here. But structure is always important, right? That's what you have to look at. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a profile that starting what happened, what I said yesterday. Look what happened. Most trader price of the week has moved lower, which is bearish, and now you don't have excess at the bottom of this profile. So this has a bearish imbalance. Now, if this wasn't FOMC coming up, right, this is usually queued up for something to do, boom, to go lower. Okay, it is bearish. We have the move. We're holding the lower prices. That is bearish, okay? We have most trader price of the month right here. That's where we got resistance yesterday. So we have that structure. It is bearish. We're holding prices lower. We're not just going ripping higher, right? So let me expand this. Okay. Let's make these a little bigger here. Boom. All right. Okay. So let's look at inside what happened. All right. Yesterday it was a matter of opening here, right? We came down here and then we just pretty much went up, came back down, closed right at the pretty much the mid of the session. So we have yesterday's highs, yesterday's lows. Okay. Look at the overnight inside yesterday's session. Look at the overnight in the middle of the overnight session, almost at the close of yesterday. That is just no edge there. You're in the middle of the muddle. You're just right above the most share price of the week. And yesterday, you're in a chop zone here because you have the most traded price of the month here, the most traded price of the week here. You have supply here, demand here. It's in balance. It's in balance, right? We're gonna break out. So the FOMC is gonna, if we stay in this area here, we're gonna do one of these with the volatility. It's gonna happen. People are gonna get hurt either way, and they're gonna get their stops run. I don't know which way it's gonna go. I'm just saying it's gonna happen. It's inevitable right now if we keep queuing up like this. Inventory is right in the middle. That's no edge. Okay. Do we have any kind of poor will, weak high? We have a little bit of a weak high here, but I'm not reading much into that. Not reading much into that. Now we do have a little bit of a weak low here. Okay. Not going to read much into that either. Okay, so we're basically back into what we were saying yesterday. Okay, you got to play the edges. Most probable thing is outside in trading today. Now we're going to do an inside out. We're going to do this today. We're going to go either here or here, and probably go back and go back, revert to the mean. That's the most probability, probability here. Okay, because we're waiting for tomorrow's big news. So let's just get right into scenarios. Okay, let's get right into the scenarios, because it's very, very easy today. Okay, so I'll tip my hat to the bears and what could happen. Okay, so if we do outside in, because we're going to do this today, this is inevitable. You're in the middle of the model, you're going to push to an edge. So I'm not a big fan of the inside out trade, but it is viable here, because you're probably going to, if we do this and we go back to the most share price of the month and supply 90 MA daily, we could do one of these. If we can't hold it, we're going to go back to at least here, and then possibly to the bottom of the range. That's how simple this is, right? And we got to go with the bull. All right, let's say we drop past the most traded price of yesterday and the week. You come down here, even we flush here, run some stops, and then we probably revert back to the mean. We can balance in here, and we can move back to here. That's pretty much it. Okay, now, of course, let's talk about the outlier. This could happen, right? If you break and hold this supply, so you'd want to see break this supply, hold above the lowest traded price of the month, you can start working your way back. I don't think that's probable, but I have to put that there. Okay. Now for the bear, yes, we can move up. You short, you come down here, you flush. You would have to hold down here to make a move lower. Do I see that happening? That's not probable, but it has to be in the cards. Okay. Has to be in the cards. So let's move on to the NASDAQ, okay? It pretty much is a carbon copy. I'm not even going to actually do scenarios here because it's the same. All right. Now, structure-wise, distribution, and then we got a big distribution here with a little bit of excess, but also what happened here is the most traded price moved here to the end of the week, so that's bearish, right? So it's doing the same thing. And then the only difference here, and I'm not going to go into detailed scenarios because you could pretty much, it's the same thing. You got supply here, you got the most traded price of the week, okay? To here you got a weakish low, and you got single prints from the past. That's the one difference here. Single prints that have not been cleaned yet. So I believe if we come down here and get some volume, we could flush those. Okay. So that's really, it's the same setup. You push out to the edge. You can go back to the other side of balance. If you break this, you can hit those single prints. Okay. As far as the long, you can come down here, flush, and if you find some support in these single prints, that's a definite key that the sellers run out of steam, and then you can go here. And if you take out that supply, hold, Might have a chance for here. There's single prints up here. You might. I don't know if that's probable. I don't know if that's probable, but I put it in there. Okay? That's really it. It's pretty simple today. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to make big, big, bold predictions here. All right. Um, One thing I wanted to show you guys here. This is just my futures kind of. I call it an express chart here. I want to note one thing. Okay, each blue profile here is a weeklies. We finally made a lower low in a weekly. It's not doesn't mean we closed there, but we haven't breached a weekly low in futures in the ES. Look, every week it's been higher, higher, higher low. Finally broke a weekly low in futures, right? So, but there's just a lot of volume here. See it? We're in the middle of the model here. Most traded price of the month's right here, right? So we're queuing up to do this or to do this for FOMC. Okay, that's what we're queuing up. Now, I talk about the most traded price of the year, the NASDAQ. This is how you see it visually. This is how you see it visually. Okay? Now, the most traded price of the last year and of this year is here. Is 15550 in the NASDAQ. Look how much volume is here. We're queuing up for a huge, huge move. Also, let's look at the weeklies. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Finally breached a weekly low. I'm not saying it's bearish. I'm just saying it finally did that. Okay? But we're queuing up. This is huge. Okay? This is so much volume here. And if you do one of these, boom. Wow, you're going to test this right here. And wow, you have a big pocket of not a lot of volume here. I'm not saying you do this, but that could be the destination down there. Now, in the opposite, let's look at this. If you go from here, right, we made a move, there's the volume, now you're holding it, okay? If you look at this volume profile, it has a very big bullish imbalance, right, that it can make a big move over these candles here from this balance here. So remember, the most trades have transacted here. So if we fall away from that, everybody who's long here gets hurt, right? If we move here and hold it and go like that, it can go. A big move is gonna happen. Okay, that's my point. All right. So that will be it for me today. Subscribe, set an alert if you like what you saw. All right. As well, please give me a like if you like what you saw as well. That would help me out. You can also follow me on Twitter or X at Gonzo719. Okay. So that's going to be it. Now, the one thing I didn't put up there real quick was that semiconductor chart. I'll just put it up really quickly, just because I think it was important to show you guys that and what happened here in semiconductors very quickly. Okay, so let me get this chart set up so it makes more sense. Okay. And I talked about this on the weekend. All right, just really quickly going to show you guys this. So here's semiconductors. Remember NVIDIA, this is semis, right? I talked about this on the weekend. See this uptrend line? And you had the 100-day moving average. It's hard to see it here, this orange. You see how that's where we were? And the market flushed it. And look at that. Came right back above it. I'm not saying you go rip to this wedge here, but it was a little bit of a trap here for sellers. So, something to note. Anyway, have a good weekend. Good luck today. outside in today. Play those edges until they're broken. All right. All right. Take it easy.